Again, no one wrote the Bible with you in mind. Then when they were writing, they were not thinking of you. You were not even in that audience. So when they were saying what they were saying, they were not talking to you. Moses, for example, was preaching Genesis to an Exodus audience. You were not in that Exodus. He was preaching the promise of God in Genesis to captives in Egypt. So Genesis was Moses' message to the captives in Egypt about God's promise of their movement to the promised land. You were not in that audience, so they were not even thinking of you. Which means they will use vocabulary that is not conversant with you, vocabulary that is strange to you, and vocabulary that is not your vocabulary. You were not the person. Which means that if they use a language of their day, you cannot use language without culture. So in the language of the Bible is the culture of that language, which is not your language, foreign to you. And I've said the difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament, two of them, fundamental differences. Number one, the first difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament is language. And language will mean culture.